Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London, and today I'm looking at a book from Cambridge University Press. It's part of their series on Cambridge intellectual property and information law. It's an important book. It's on the internet, Warts and All, with a subtitle Free Speech, Privacy and Truth, and it's been written by Paul Bernal. Now, Elizabeth and I talked about the book, and she was the lead writer for this particular review, and we've given it a title for our book review, A WARTY Internet? Are there legal solutions? Very big question. Let's look at the book first. Here it is. It's a hardback. It's not a big book. There it is. Spine, and then there's some quotes on the back and a bit of blurb about the author. Back of the book has the bibliography right at the back. And then there is, after that, a short index by page numbering. It doesn't go on for very long, the index. You've got that index there. As I say, the last bit is these are actually part of the bit right at the back is part of the series of books from Cambridge on IP and information law. And then you've got the detailed bibliographical information in the right at the back, because there's a lot of referencing that's been going on, because there are a lot of books and articles now published on the internet which has built up over the years. Here's the front of the book there, and then that's some of the books in the series. They are mentioned at the back as part of the bibliography. Then there's a little bit of blurb about the book there, which we'll refer to in passing in the review. Information from Cambridge University there, and then you've got the contents section running through, and there are 10 chapters in total. The last one being called Warts and All. Then there's a preface. Always worth reading the preface on this. This book asks questions, so you know what is happening straight away. It's not a long preface, but it's worth reading. Then acknowledgements, and then the book itself, running all the way through. A little quote at the beginning. And then you've got you can notice a little bit of footnoting, paragraph numbering of course as well, so you can find things quite easily, and you can see a little bit of footnoting, and basically a very interesting read. It's one that I think a lot of people should read, more than probably we would like. I'm sure the author would like, but this is a book about what the internet is now and what's going to happen in the future, I think. And therefore, although it says warts and all, it's something which is important because it's looking at actually the three areas in the subtitle: free speech, privacy and truth. So what do we say? Well, having evolved by means of research and scientific expertise, the internet is now, in the second decade of the 21st century, the object of a slightly different area of scrutiny, that of legal scholarship, and the close and detailed analysis that is necessarily involved, and of which this book by Paul Bernal is a brilliant example. And can I just say that we have reviewed a number of books about internet law, and this is a slightly different subject because it's looking at the subject in, I think, a much bigger sort of area. The book's been published by CUP, Cambridge University Press, and it focuses not on internet technology. Yes, we know it's brilliant, of course, but on the serious and disturbing social and economic consequences of internet usage worldwide. And this is an area which is becoming much more of much greater interest on political agendas, and of course it's important because there are consequences to what has happened to the internet, and a lot of it we didn't. I frankly don't think we really foresaw it the way we might have done. That's not to criticise people, it's just the way that the thing has evolved. So the internet does indeed have a lot of warts, and you'll find most of them are discussed in the book. This is a quote from the author: if we want to find better ways to regulate the internet and run businesses, organise and socialise on the internet, the starting point has to be to understand and to accept the internet for the complex and unruly mess it is. Well, I think that's the first thing, because it's there. We're not going to change it initially without actually trying to understand what it's doing to our society. And he then goes on, he says, it paint the internet warts and all, he adds, referring of course to Cromwell's famous warts and all instructions regarding his portrait. That's in case people don't know where the quote comes from. Sorry, but I'm sure you do. Bearing in mind this is actually Cambridge and not far from where Cromwell was. The message here then is that however messy and unruly the internet becomes, we have to accept all of that, says the author, if we are to make any progress. Well, I know we don't actually, not necessarily. That's our basic argument, saying, well, just do we have to accept that or not? Think about it. Many of us, however, would prefer the internet to be ruled by the rule of law. However, to say that the possibility of such an outcome is remote is a monumental understatement for a range of reasons which are detailed in the text. And I'm not going to spoil it because I think you should read the book. It's not a big book and it's well worth reading. You can zip through it quite quickly. Try to reform or regulate a global system which spreads its tentacles across a diverse range of countries and jurisdictions with different cultural norms, different value systems and different laws constitutes what we call an inhibiting factor, you might say. And that's exactly the case because we do things differently in different places. And of course this globalization, which is continuing in the 21st century, is something we have to reckon with. But just possibly there may or might be a way forward based on a variety of solutions carefully and gradually implemented. So commenting on these, the author is careful to mention that the book draws heavily on research provided by a number of scholars, as evidenced by the lengthy and detailed bibliography. As I say, there at the back, there are two parts to it. One is the main bit of the bibliography, and then right at the back is the books in the series from CUP. It covers books, articles, reports, documents. They're all there for those seeking further insight into possible legal solutions, for example, to the very contemporary problems generated by the internet. And you just have to look at a newspaper most days of the week and you see that there is something. There are concerns being raised all the time because of criminal offences being committed and social problems being generated by the use of the net. Now, the author's credentials, as Bernal's credentials, Paul Bernal is obviously a very experienced person in this area. His credentials and his obvious expertise on legal matters relating to this conspicuously warty internet are impressive. Let me just explain. He's based in the University of East Anglia. He's in that part of the world. He's a senior lecturer in information technology, intellectual property, IP, and media law, all of which are together in this new media grouping of legal matters. There are three interlinked disciplines which allow insightful analysis of a range of internet issues, from surveillance, fakery and fake news, certainly, to free speech and the trouble with trolls. And again, I think he's looking very much at what we've got at the moment and what we could be seeing in the future, because we don't know the way in which the internet is going to be regulated in the future. So at the moment, we do have these problems, warts and all, and something at some stage, well, some decisions will have to be made, but I don't think it's going to happen yet. Let me conclude by saying this. For enlightened, erudite and succinct commentary then on the core of issues relating to internet law, warts and all, this is recently published as a book from Cambridge University Press, and we think it's certainly an absorbing and quite often a controversial read. And in fact, it throws up a lot of questions about what we're going to do. Whether we're going to get any decisions from politicians on it is a totally different matter, either locally, nationally or internationally. We shall see, so watch this space. The date of publication is cited at the 16th of August 2018. Let's have one last look at the book. There it is, hardback as I say. There's the spine and then there's the back. Just opening it in the middle. It's not a long book at all. It runs to 270 odd pages. You can see here Samaritan's Radar. That's an interesting one. There's very little footnoting on that. You can understand that there have been people, and there are a number that I certainly am aware of who are mentioned here, who have had very serious problems because of what has happened, the behaviour that's been exhibited on social media. So Samaritan's Raid are an important, frankly, quite a sobering point for me to end the book on. Can I thank Paul Bernal very much indeed for the work he's done on this. I think it's an important book for everybody, and I think it's something that is actually not just for lawyers, but it's got a general readership application as well. Thank you to all concerned anyway, and to CUP for publishing it. Bye-bye.